Hi, I'm Maria Jednick, and welcome back to our craft conversations. Today, I'm here with Julia Halprin Jackson, who is one of the co-founders of San Jose's Plan Words, and she's a strategic communication and marketing team writer here at San Jose State. We're going to be chatting a little bit about some craft ideas for our blog, The Right Attitude, and our YouTube channel here at the Writing Center. Welcome to our craft conversations.
Thanks so much for having me.
So my first question for you, you're a very versatile writer who explores many different forms, from flash postcards to profiles. How did you develop such a range of writing styles? And then how do you approach a project when you're working in a new genre?
Well, I'm glad it appears that I'm versatile. The short answer is survival. And the longer answer is, the essence of it, I like a good story. So anything can be a good story, whether that's a photograph or a poem or a flash prose piece or a profile or a feature. The trick is finding kind of the mechanics of the story within whatever you're writing. And as my mother, who was also a writer, always used to tell me, is to just read the directions and follow them carefully. So as someone who studied creative writing, I spent a lot of time reading the directions and breaking the rules. And then understanding as part of that when you do have to write a more formal assignment, a paper for a class or a feature for a publication, there are certain rules you have to follow, and finding creative ways to kind of stay within those bounds. So I would say at the heart of it is everybody likes a good story. Everybody can tell a story, may not be in words, but that's what I like to do.
Great. So as a co-founder of Plan Words, which is a reading series that takes people's words and presents them on stage, what do you think are the benefits of some live readings? Why do you think it's so important to not just share words on a page, but also have them read out on a stage?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I co-founded Plan Words here in San Jose with actually two San Jose State alumna, Melinda Marks and Nicole Hughes. And kind of the idea behind our series is that we take submissions of original written work, fiction, nonfiction, poetry, and theater, and we pair them with professional actors for live performances. And the origin of this is that I'm a writer at heart, but I've been, asked to be in readings before, but I was always uncomfortable at first. Melinda, my co-founder, is an amazing performer, so we thought, what better way to kind of elevate the work we're doing, both of us, by partnering. And over the years, I've noticed that I've gotten a lot more confidence reading my own work as well as other people's work. And it gives you a lot of real-time feedback as a writer to hear your work performed aloud. I always like to say that every time you write something you think is funny, people think it's sad. And every time you think you write something sad, people think it's funny. So it's really interesting to see that real-time feedback on your work. It's especially helpful if you're working on something in progress. So over the last 6 years, we've performed work by more than 60 writers, and we work with 20 different actors across the Bay Area. So it's been a lot of fun.
Great. So I'd like to take a minute and talk a little bit about your work here at San Jose State. As a writer of Spartan Stories, can you tell us some of the best people or events or other items you've covered here at San Jose State?
Yeah, well, when I first started here, I noticed we had a lot of great stories about athletics and specifically football, which is great. But we also have a long history of amazing women athletes. So I did a series of 10 stories about Spartan women in sports. And during that research, I did a story on Margaret Jenkins, who was one of the first Spartan Olympians. She attended San Jose State in the 1920s, back when it was a teacher's college. She picked up the sport of javelin about 2 months before the Olympic trials, and she made the team, which is impressive. She took a boat from, I think, New York to Amsterdam to get to the Olympics. And she was just an amazing woman. And there's actually some good literature out there about her, but I think that story really taught me about how kind of the resilience of a Spartan spirit has kind of always been there and thrived at San Jose State. Another story I want to share is actually my first feature story that I wrote at San Jose State was about students who are undocumented or DACA. meaning that, they were first or second generation in the United States seeking an education here at San Jose State. And that was really illuminating to me because this was right after President Trump was elected, and getting to know these students who are working really hard and sacrificing so much while at the same time giving back to the community was just very impressive to me, and showed, it was just very meaningful to me to see how much getting an education meant to these students and those that support them. And not long after that story, they launched they opened the Undocumented Resource Center here on campus. And I just wanted to show the cover of our magazine that semester was really impressive. Butterflies are a symbol of dreamers, because it has to do with families migrating north and south. And then this is kind of a kaleidoscope of the various people that we interviewed and profiled in the magazine.
Right. So you've been really involved in the writing community here in the South Bay. What advice would you be looking to give to someone that wants to get involved with the writing community, and how would you describe what the South Bay writing community looks like?
I would say that there's an underground arts community that's slowly reaching the surface. I moved to San Jose in 2012 and was actively looking for places to submit work or read. Part of the reason why Plan Words exists is that most of the things I found were much further up the peninsula. And there's some amazing things out there in San Francisco and Berkeley. And I didn't know at the time that there was also the Flash Fiction Forum, which is a really wonderful literary series here in San Jose that takes submissions.
And we've interviewed Lita Kurth, so you can watch that video as well.
Yes, yeah, and they've been a wonderful partner to Plan Words. So I would say if you're interested in getting involved, look around. Put yourself out there. It can be kind of scary at first, but what I found is that we're in Silicon Valley. This is one of the most creative places in the world. And even, even if someone isn't paid to write for a living, most people have some kind of interesting creative hobby. A lot of the people we've produced with Play on Words are software engineers, technical writers, high school teachers. It really runs the gamut. So I would say, show up to things that look interesting. I'm sure there are a lot of great events on campus you can participate in. Submit to Play on Words. But yeah, I think, and if there's something out there that you want and you don't see it, then you should make it happen.
So I just found out, as we were going to start this interview, that you used to work at a writing center. What is your favorite part of the writing process, and what advice would you give to a student who's struggling to fall in love with writing?
Yes, one of my favorite jobs was working as a writing tutor at Campus Learning Assisted Services at UC Santa Barbara. I think writing labs are an amazing resource, and people need to take advantage of them because you offer so much to students of every major. My favorite part of the writing process has changed over the years. I spent a lot of years as a copy editor, and as a result, I'm an obsessive reviser. I really love to revise. It's really hard for me to write a first draft, very hard. But once the bones of the story are there, I just have so much fun with track changes. I love track changes. And I like to write flash fiction, and that grew out of one writing professor critiquing me that took me so long to get to the point. So then I became obsessed with, well, how quickly can I get to the point? And so ever since then, I just really love revising, and I love editing, which can be problematic at times. But my advice for students who struggle with writing is to read. And it doesn't have to be things for school. It can be whatever interests you, comics or fan fiction or the newspaper or whatever. Just pay attention to what sparks your interest. And then in terms of academic writing, one technique we used to do a lot when I worked as a writing tutor is to have people tell their stories without writing them down. Because most people know what they want to communicate. They just don't know how to communicate it. And some people are, more visually inclined, some people are better speaking out loud, and some people are better writing it down first. So I would say, if you're stuck on what you're writing, stop. I've tried recording what I'm saying into my phone, just be like, this is what I'm trying to say. And then you're like, oh, That's what I was trying to say. So I would say to play around with form and, feel comfortable breaking the rules when you feel like that's appropriate, and to try to make it fun.
Thank you so much for stopping by today. And if you are interested in submitting to Plan Words, they have a reading upcoming in January and some other ones soon after that. So you can check out their website, planwordssanjose.com.
Thanks for having me.